Do you want to talk about your mental health? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm your host. You can call me Horse. Why the long face?
Hello, and you're very welcome back to another episode of Why the Long Face, a podcast with me, Horse O'Keefe. This week, lads, it's a bit of a different episode. It's a bit of a special episode. As most of you are aware, I have James here with me now every time that I record. He has his own little section. There's no point waving, they can't see you. He has his own little segment, Jambons Corner. We sat down this evening to record an extra few, because James has gone on holidays in a few weeks. And then we decided, why not just dedicate this whole podcast entirely to Jambons Corner. So without further ado, lads, he's on holiday soon, and he'd ate a cream egg with a spoon. It's time for Jambons Corner.
Thank you very much, Owen. I'm delighted to be here for a very special episode, and I'm extremely honoured that this episode was dedicated to me. Loyal listeners of the podcast would of course know that I don't eat a cream egg with a spoon. I do tend to scoop it out tongue ways. Okay, getting straight into it. The first question I have is quite a simple one, but it might require some thinking. Do you believe in luck? And if so, do you think you're a lucky person?
I suppose I do, and I don't believe in luck. Like, there was times there in school, or there's times where I've done things that I've somehow managed to get away with. Not illegal things, but like, you know, like in school, I wouldn't do my homework, and then like the class before, so like I didn't do my English homework, and then the class before English, we'd end up having a free class, and I'd managed to get the homework done then, so I wouldn't get caught. That kind of a thing. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I am a bit lucky. But then obviously there's been a lot of shit that's happened to me in my life, and I'm like, okay, if anything, I'm unlucky. I don't know. I'm very kind of 50-50 on it. Like, I suppose it really depends on your outlook on life in general. Like, even if you, fair enough, I've been through bad things, but I wouldn't necessarily change those things either, because they've made me who I am. So does that in a way make me lucky? I don't know. I'm not lucky in relation to like winning things. I very rarely win things. I don't know. That genuinely is a very good question. It's kind of a hard one to answer, but like it's kind of really depends on your view on luck. Like, I'm very lucky in the fact that I have my own house that I can rent. You know, I have had the opportunity to, you know, have my own dog and have my own podcast. So in that regard, I'm lucky. Yeah, financially, am I lucky? No, but look. But yeah, that's a fucking strong question to start out with. Do you have an opinion on that? Do you feel like you're lucky, or is that a question that you were like, I'll just trot it out the horse, I don't have to answer this?
No.
That doesn't even make sense as an answer.
No, it is something that I've thought about, like, and I think everyone seems to have a kind of a baseline level of what we perceive as luck. Like, I'll take my grandmother for example. She's always winning at the bingo, but is that because she's lucky or because she's always at the bingo? Like, her chances increase with every single visit that she's probably going to win something. Do you know what I mean? So I think you work towards having more luck. Like, for example, in the last couple of years, myself and yourself have been applying for what seems to be every job under the sun that we can try and get, and obviously the more applications you put in and the more processes you go through, something's going to come up for you. So is that luck or is that hard work? Is it a bit of both? And yeah, like, everyone says, oh, I'm lucky to have a roof over my head and have my partner, my dog, my house, all that. You didn't mention your partner as well. That was quite funny.
Sorry.
No, you said it now. And yeah, like, I think people are genuine when they say that. No, they always bring up the thing of, oh, I'd be fair lucky if I won the lotto, I'd be fair lucky if I, you know, won a car or whatever, like, but I think we're just wishing our lives away on material things then at that point. But I think there's a certain amount that you work towards, and the more work you put in, the better your quote unquote luck would be my view.
I think that, like, all that is a very fair point, that, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying a few weeks ago about comparing yourself and not comparing yourself to others, or saying, Jesus, that fella's fierce lucky, he's always getting what he wants, or he's always getting to the places that he wants to be. But then, like you said, is it that he's putting in more work than you might be in relation to that thing? So yeah, that's a very good question to start on, because that's going to keep me thinking now about my entire view on life and life choices. But then again, that's what this podcast is about. It's opening up all these things to people.
Welcome to Jambons Corner. So, the next question is a little bit less tricky. You're given €10,000. You're dropped in the middle of Limerick City. You have 1 hour to spend all your money, and you can't leave Limerick City with any change in your pocket. How are you spending your €10,000?
I'm calling a taxi first. I'm going to Harvey Norman. It's still within the city, like. Yeah, it is. In there, I'm getting proper big television, proper sound system, better camera, fucking buy a PC so I'm not trying to work off a laptop, buy a tablet, and then I'd probably start buying couches. I've just one thing I want in my life. I don't care how successful I am. I want an L-shaped couch. Don't know why. I've just always wanted an L-shaped couch. So I'd be getting a fucking L-shaped couch inside Harvey Norman, and the biggest, most comfortable bed that I can get. Because apparently we have a double bed. Apparently it's not big enough, because apparently when I sleep I'm all arse. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but I'm told it every single night, and it's not a good thing. It's not, just in case you're wondering, the fact that I'm all arse in bed is a negative thing. So like, if someone can explain that to me, I would.
One, I've known you 20 years, and you've been all arse all those 20 years. Not just in the bedroom, which I can't testify towards, but you've definitely gone over the 10 grand there as well. If you're saying like what, 65-inch 4K telly,
Bigger.
70-inch,
85-inch.
85-inch. That's a good 6 grand gone already. Like
Nah, about 4 grand.
4 grand.
Yeah.
Okay. A PC, another 2. Right. So what are we up to? 5,500.
Yeah.
Camera, another 3. 8,500. You're nearly going between the couch and the bed there, lad.
What couch?
Couch. Okay.
I'll get over the fact that I'm all arse.
Right. I don't think your partner would, but who knows. Anyway. Okay, so that's how you're going to spend €10,000 in an hour.
Harvey Norman.
Lovely. Go, Harvey, go. Next one is a would you rather. We're swooping that low here on Why the Long Face. But anyway, would you rather be overdressed from the waist up all the time, or from the waist down? What I mean by that is basically a 2-piece suit from the waist up, waistcoat, shirt, cufflinks, jacket, and you could be wearing Hawaiian shorts and Crocs, or the other way around, suit pants, nice brown shoes, and a Mayo jersey up top. So which would you rather?
See, straight away my brain has gone to, like, if I was working on a site. So I'm either suit jacket and shirt with Snickers pants and boots, or a shitty t-shirt and a shitty hoodie and a suit pants and a brown shoe. I'd probably go for overdressed from the waist down, to be honest, because even if you're going to the shop, like, you can try on a t-shirt with a suit pants and a good shoe and you'll kind of get away with it. Whereas if you're walking around with a suit jacket and a shirt and a pair of fat man pants, people are going to be looking at you like. So I feel like overdressed from the waist down is the better option there, unless you're working on a site, in which case you're fucked either way.
The funniest scenario that came into my head there was at a wedding. Which are you picking at a wedding? Because you can no longer go fully suit or fully casual. So at a wedding, let's say my wedding, best man, what are people going to be talking about? Your AC/DC t-shirt or your fat man pants? Don't say tuxedo t-shirt. Don't.
I wouldn't be a tuxedo t-shirt, because I would get one custom made to fit the suit for the wedding. I'm not that much of a bollocks. Like, I'd obviously keep it somewhat on theme, but tuxedo t-shirt all the way. It's the perfect. The only reason why you said don't say tuxedo t-shirt was because you realised there was a loophole within your would you rather, and you try to get out of it. Tuxedo t-shirt is happening.
It's not a loophole. You're still wearing a t-shirt to my wedding.
At least I'm there.
Well, after this, who knows?
It's either that or I'm dressed to the nines from the waist up and I'm wearing Tipperary GAA shorts. Which, to be fair, I think people would probably rather.
Yeah, you could do a Paul Mescal on it.
Don't you dare fucking say his name on my podcast ever again. And no, there won't be an explanation.
Moving on. You're only allowed one drink for the rest of your life. It can't be water. What is it? Now, this is every single meal. When you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and your mouth is as dry as anything, what are you reaching for?
It can't be water. I wouldn't be picking water anyway, because water is shit. Water is boring. But not all water tastes the same. I will say that. I'm fully aware of that. That's another topic for another day. I feel like No, coffee is a bad idea. I was gonna say coffee because you could have it hot or you could have it cold or whatever, but like, yeah, my heart would stop, so that's not great. I'd say you can't pick like pint bottle of Bulmers because you'd be langers all the time. How does this work in relation to breakfast cereal? If I don't pick milk, is milk not a thing anymore?
So in this situation, I'll allow milk to be added to cereal and to any other recipes that require it. Should you pick tea, milk is included. Should you pick coffee, milk is included. Should you pick a cup of soup and you need to cool it down, milk is included. Other than that, it's off the table.
No, I'm going to stick with coffee, so, because like, you can have your regular coffee in the morning, you can have decaf late at night if you were thirsty. You could have it hot or cold, or do these all count as separate beverages? I assume coffee just counts as its own thing. Fine, that's grand. Yeah, coffee is my answer, so.
I just have an image in my head of you going into Super Bites at 1:30 in the morning, asking for a curry cheese chip, a chicken burger, and an Americano.
But sure, that's fine, because the only thing I'd be hopped up on is coffee, because I can't drink pints. You forgot your own scenario there.
But ordering a coffee in a chipper anyway is weird.
Happens though. Not late at night, like.
Go and get a coffee there and come back in half an hour.
So I'd obviously miss the pints, but you can't be drinking pints every single day. That becomes a problem.
Can I put a spanner in the works?
What, alcohol-free pints?
You can go between Bulmers and Bulmers 00.
No, you can't.
So normally at this point, give or take, we would have Owen's movie of the week. But because this is a Jambon extravaganza, here's Jambon's movie of the week.
Movie of the week.
So Owen, I'm not going to use your format and talk about a film I've seen this week. I'm going to ask you, what movies do you have fond memories of with the two of us watching them and experiencing them together?
Straight away, Junior Cert Results Night comes to mind. Now, I would like to say that a good 90% of young ones who get their Junior Cert results do not spend their evening at their best friend's house, drinking tea, eating caramel digestives, and watching Taken and Inglourious Bastards. But we did, because we were tame, quiet young fellas back then. Now, saying that, to be fair, we watched Inglourious Bastards just for what it was, but we watched Taken, but every time Liam Neeson was on the TV, we took it as he was Michael Collins, because I think we'd watch Michael Collins in school or something like that just beforehand. So it was like, oh, why is Michael Collins in Paris? Why is he trying to find his daughter? Why? It was a lot funnier at the time. I realise now it sounds fucking weird, but definitely those two come to mind straight away. I know we've been to see very random films in cinema. I think me and you saw Kung Fu Panda 2 together. We saw Shrek 4 or Forever After, or whatever the name of it is. We saw that together in cinema. We went to see Insidious Chapter 3. We went with two girls, and we went without having ever seen Insidious 1 or Insidious 2. But we went anyway. We'll leave the stories from that day there. We definitely... films that I remember us watching that we were like have talked about loads and still to this day talk about is the Cornetto trilogy. So Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. But what I'm not entirely sure on in relation to those is, does our ranking of them match? Do you want to go first? For me, it's controversial now. Hot Fuzz, World's End, Shaun of the Dead.
And that was Why the Long Face, the Jambon special. Tune in next week, or don't. Obviously your host is completely delusional with that ranking of the Cornetto trilogy. Everyone knows it's Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, World's End. Because the first time I watched Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, I was like, brilliant film, 5 stars. The first time I watched World's End, I was like, what the fuck was that? Then I watched it again a couple more times, and I was like, it's alright, like, good few funny little moments in it. Sometimes we pick out moments that are maybe not intentionally a hard punchline and grab onto them for dear life as the funniest thing that we've ever heard in our lives.
For example, specifically in The World's End, there's just a very random line where one guy is like, oh Jesus, we're going to end up dead in a field, and another guy goes, oh no, I hate fields, and like, that's just fucking brilliant. Now, I'm also taking this opportunity to defend myself. Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead are very much like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's humour, and Edgar Wright as a director those two are very similar, but in like obviously like the humor wise, the editing, the whole lot. The World's End, in a way, almost kind of slightly doesn't fit within the trilogy. But the reason why I put it second and not last is because I feel like, one, it's underrated, and two, I identified more with characters in that, and there was subtle plot lines in that just hit a bit harder, and stuff like that for me in a film is like my fucking bread and butter. I love it, like when they do something subtle, whether it's got to do with mental health or some sort of like dealing with some sort of trauma, but when they do it in a subtle way where it's not in your face. Yes, the whole film is about this. No, the whole film is about friends rekindling, but the fact that there's this underlying kind of mentioning, and you kind of half see how one of the characters is dealing with trauma from when he was younger, and that for me is why I put it second. I'm not saying that Shaun of the Dead is shit by any stretch of the imagination. It's not. It's, like you said, brilliant film, 5 stars, but it doesn't have that extra level for me that The World's End had. But Hot Fuzz is still the best one.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. Your explanation is very good, and you're obviously more of the movie guy than I am, but yeah, just in my opinion, it's number 3 out of 3. That's fair enough. A movie that sticks out in my head that we watched together was on a random, must have been a school holiday or something, at your house in the middle of the day. We watched Bruno together, and like, what were we, 14, 15, watching this mockumentary about an extremely outrageous gay Austrian fashion designer trying to make it in America. And there's a certain scene that's an absolute eye-opener, and I'll leave it at that. But I just remember rolling around the couch laughing at that film. It's just a brilliant time to be a young person, just enjoying the crack and maybe not knowing 100% what's happening. It's just the innocence of being a bit thick, and I miss those days.
I wouldn't even say it's that we were thick. I think it was the naivety, or the never having fully seen a grown man's penis on the television. Which was, everything you just said was basically the nicer way of saying what I just said. We saw lots of penis in in that movie, and we probably shouldn't have, but it was funny, and it's a good memory to have. So yeah, there you go.
So my next question is, summer is around the corner. We've had a few nice days here in Ireland, and it's been quite sunny, quite nice. So my question is, what is the best single item at a barbecue?
I assume now that we're just talking meats or things like that. We're not talking about the sides. I can't say coleslaw, like.
You can, but you'd be very wrong, like.
See, it really depends, because different people to be doing different things on a barbecue. Some people are doing old peppered steak on a barbecue. That's good. Some people do corn on the cob on a barbecue. It's good, but if you leave it like a second too long, it's burnt, and that's not good.
Okay, let me specify. So, you are in control of the barbecue. You are in control of what you buy, how you cook it, how long you cook it for. That's if you're cooking anything at all. But what is the best one item that you're making?
I'm going to go with sausage, because no matter how good you are at a barbecue or on the barbecue, burgers are going to get charred, and charred on the burgers is not nice, for me anyway. I don't like it. Like, you can have the burger done, put it in your bath, put on all the sauce and cheese and salad and all you want, but you're still just going to taste char. But the char, when it's on a sausage, is nice. It adds to the flavour. Like, I'm not more, I don't even know what the full name from is now, but they're like the hybrid kind of hot dog sausages. They're not fully a hot dog, they're not fully a sausage. Those boys, put them into your old hot dog bap, bit of sauce, you're good to go. I do put a bit of cheese on it too, because I'm a bad bastard, like, but there you go.
So when you say sauce, are we talking ketchup only? Ketchup and mustard? What are we talking? Are we doing onions? Are they crispy? Are they caramelized? I'm going to need more information.
For sauce, just ketchup and mustard. And I'm not a massive fan of mustard only on an old hot dog or larger sausage. Stop laughing at the fact that I said larger sausage. Onions, no. For the simple fact that there's too much onion going on then. I don't like it. Like, I don't like onion on a burger. I don't like onions on a hot dog or on a sausage or things like that. If it's cooked into something, like into a stir fry or into a bolognese, whatever, grand. But when it's basically raw, or it's like a main ingredient, it's not for me. You can't really put much else salad on a hot dog, like. No gherkiny relish maybe, but that's hard to come by, like, so I take or leave that. Like, if it was there, I'd have it, but if it's not, it doesn't ruin the experience for me. Can't say any more than that.
Thank you for your in-depth analysis of a larger sausage.
Slightly, that's not a massive tangent, but I just have, when anyone mentions a barbecue or I think of barbecue, I have this very vivid memory of probably about 6 years ago now. I'd been out in town the night before. I came home, say the following day around midday. I was dying and all I wanted to do was get in home, Panadol, glass of water, into bed. And as I turned, so I walked down the back of my house, turned the corner. The mother, father, sister, and my nana and granddad were all there. And the barbecue was out. Now I had no idea that this was happening. So I knew straight away I wasn't getting into the bed anyway. And I went over and I hugged everyone and chatting away, and that was fine. And then my mother said, "Are you hungover?" I was like, "Yeah." "Don't be acting hungover now in front of your grandparents." Very standard Irish mammy thing to say. So I had to sit there then and try and stomach a barbecue when all I wanted to do was just die inside in bed. But the main reason why I remember this day is because I had only just finished putting the gauges in my ear. I had only done it in one ear at the time, and my grandfather hadn't seen it. Now my grandfather was kind of, I wouldn't say he was anti-piercings and anti-tattoos, he was just of that generation that didn't understand why we waste our money on doing it. So he was sat kind of beside me and he was staring at me, and I was like, "Are you alright?" And he goes, "Your ear?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "How is it I can see your mother through it?" And I died laughing. Nobody else heard it. I was in tears. I couldn't even explain to people what had just been said or why I was laughing. But that's just one of those amazing memories that I have. Fair enough, I was hungover as balls and eventually I got to go into bed and die for the rest of the day. But if I had got into bed as soon as I got home, I wouldn't have that memory of my grandfather. So there you go, random barbecue anecdote over and done.
This is a topic that's close to your heart and has been close to your heart for nearly as long as I've known you. What's the weirdest celebrity crush you've ever had?
See, I don't know do I have any weird ones. I have celebrity crushes on older women, but I feel like they're justifiable. Like Dame Helen Mirren. She was gorgeous when she was younger and she's still gorgeous now. There's something about her. Susan Sarandon, gorgeous. I have a thing for Emma Thompson too, and I don't fully know why. I think it's just because she seems like she's so lovely. I'm fully aware that Helen Mirren is 77. Susan Sarandon I think is 77 as well. Emma Thompson I think is mid-60s. I don't think there's anything wrong with me wanting to fee Kenny McPhee. I think any of the celebrity crushes I've had, at the time, they make sense. I had a mad crush on Yuan from High School Musical when it first came out because we were all watching it. I had a mad crush on Cheryl Cole there for ages because we were always watching The X Factor at the weekend. Cameron Diaz has always been one for as long as I've kind of remembered, because I remember watching The Mask and she walks into the bank there in the red dress and I was like, "Oh boys." I don't know, I feel like you have a better idea of a weird crush that I have that you are trying to get me to say. No? Okay.
Do you ever get into the habit that you start watching a series and the female lead in it, you, after one series, you've completely fallen in love with her? You're like, this woman is the pinnacle of what it is to be female.
Yeah, pretty much any TV show I've ever watched. When I was watching Big Bang Theory, I was actually, to be fair, I was in love with two of them, Kaylee Cuoco and Melissa Rauch, whatever her name is. I'm watching Shameless at the moment, but I don't have a crush on any of them because I'm very happy in my relationship. I've had crushes on cartoon characters. Do they count as Okay, James tried to cut me off. What I was trying to say was everyone remembers the first time they watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and they remember seeing Jessica Rabbit. I know she's a cartoon, but she was a sexy cartoon. I had a crush on Leela from Futurama for a while as well. It's just teenage boys going through teenage boy things, happens, But I don't think any of the crushes I've ever had are particularly weird as such. Like I said, maybe the weirdest ones is Helen Mirren or Emma Thompson. Thanks,
Owen, for being too honest in that segment. Being attracted to women that are 40 plus years older than you. Yeah, I was scared when you started talking about cartoon characters. I'm not going to lie. I thought we might get kicked off the platform, to be honest with you. But anyway, thank you for being honest and justifying it as if you've thought about this quite a lot. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the section that would normally be Jambons Corner, but of course, this whole podcast has been a Jambons Corner. So, ladies and gentlemen, his face is a bit scruffy and his arse is a bit fluffy. It's time for a Horse's Corner.
James, for that lovely intro. Although I would like to question how it is that you know that my bum is fluffy. But anyway, as this is a mental health podcast, I think we should try and at least talk about something mental health related. So my question is very simple. What is the best piece of mental health advice that you have ever been given?
So this is one that I was kind of made aware of in and around the middle of the first lockdown we had during COVID, I think. Obviously there was a lot of sentiment of, oh, we're all in this together and, you know, see the light at the end of the tunnel, blah, blah, blah. Now that was extremely hard for quite a lot of people, and everyone kind of dealt with it in their own way. But the best piece of mental health advice that I received, it's very simple. It's 3 words which I've contemplated getting tattooed upon myself, but it's keep fucking going. And it's as simple as it sounds. It boils down to, no matter how insurmountable the task is ahead of you, you've no choice but to keep fucking going. However way you want to put it, keep on swimming. This too shall pass. All of these have the same sentiment as to drive the fuck on and keep going. Do your best to get through this situation as best you can without hurting yourself too much emotionally, mentally or physically, and you're on to the next task. During the first lockdown, I ended up living in a house completely on my own for 3 months straight. And the first couple of weeks were great. It was a pure Kevin McAllister kind of moment where I can do anything I want except to hug my nana. But the freedom and the novelty wore off after that time. There's only a certain amount of days that you can play Call of Duty Warzone for 12 hours straight and then go to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and still have a healthy relationship with your mental health and routine and your body as well. Because fair enough, we didn't know what was going on at the time, and we didn't know how long this would last or what effect it would have. But our bodies didn't know what was going on either, because they were like, they're so used to being on the go and waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning and getting ready and going out the door and going to college or school or work or whatever, and then complete shutdown. So it took its toll, and it probably took people a while to reach the hangover of what was actually happening. So yeah, there was a lot of dark nights that were put down in that house, and other certain circumstances that really kind of brought everything home. So within the first couple of months of the first lockdown that we had, a neighbour of mine who I would have played underage football and hurling with died by suicide. So he would be the second of 3 sons out of a small farming household. Had just started his electrical apprenticeship locally, and unfortunately died by suicide. He obviously was fighting his own demons at the time, and of course the COVID situation probably did not help. We can only speculate, and we can only respect him and remember him. But it brought a lot of things into perspective for me. That, yeah, things in my situation at that time were bad, but so was everybody else. We were all pretty much in the same boat. So the advice that I received of keep fucking going really did work, because sometimes I catch myself in a low mood or maybe struggling with anxiety that day, and I catch myself in the mirror or on the front camera on my phone or something, and I'd have to tell myself that I have to keep going to enjoy the good times that are on the far side of these bad times. Like, we heard it enough from so many political speeches around the time. It was like, oh, we'll weather this winter and enjoy the summer, or I'm butchering that Seamus Heaney quote, but it was important to me to keep that sentiment in my head at all times and to keep fucking going. And I couldn't do it myself. There was a lot of people in my life that helped me to keep fucking going. No more than Mr. Horst O'Keefe, whose corner I'm in currently, my sister, my mum and dad, and friends that I would have had at college at the time, because we were doing online college. And yeah, we all helped each other out. because it was inevitable that one of us was going to be in a bad spot and other people mightn't be in as bad a spot, so we'd help each other out and we'd all get to a nicer level playing field. So long story short, that advice of keep fucking going has kept me fucking going for the last couple of years now, through ups, downs, lefts, rights, loop-de-loops, in this mad time that we're still in, not because of COVID but because of everything else that's happening. It's important to remember that you have to get through the winter to enjoy the summer.
I think what I like the most about that quote, or about that idea of keep fucking going, is, like you said, there's other ways of saying it, like whether it's like this too shall pass or just keep swimming, but keep fucking going is such a uniquely Irish way of putting it. Like I know I talk a lot about how I don't think Ireland's relationship with mental health is the best, but then there's just little nuggets like that, little tiny kind of ways that it comes out, where that's the kind of thing that you could just say to someone in passing at work, or someone random that you meet in the shop. You're like, oh, how are you getting on? Grand. So just have to keep fucking going. It's so simple, like I said, 3 words, but it does exactly what it says on the tin. It gets you to where it needs to get you. And like, I have a fairly good understanding of what you were going through during the lockdown, because we were talking to each other every day. Obviously lockdown was very hard for us individually, but another reason why it was kind of hard was because it was probably the longest amount of time we ever went without actually seeing each other in person. Like for years, me and James would see each other every weekend. There was weeks there where we'd be in school together Monday to Friday, and then he'd be at my house Saturday, he might stay over. We'd be seeing each other 7, 8, 9 days in a row, not a bother. And then all of a sudden lockdown happened, and I was in Limerick and James was in Tralee, and all we had was FaceTime. Now we're very lucky to have had FaceTime, or else we would have gone completely fucking mental. But I have seen the effect that small quote, like that those 3 words have had, and I 100% think that you should get that as a tattoo. 100%. And also, just in relation to everything you just said, I'd like to thank you for your honesty on that. As you're aware, because obviously you're here every week that I record, but the whole thing that I'm trying to get through with people is that talking about it helps, and being honest about it helps. So thank you for that. Thank you for telling it how it was at the time, and how it still is for some people, or how it still might be for you. So I think we're going to leave it there. James will unfortunately be missing for a few weeks. He, like I said, he's off to America, not for good, just for an old holiday. So we'll have a few weeks without Jambons Corners. So I hope you enjoyed this very special episode of Why the Long Face, the extended Jambons Corner. Lads, look, for the next few weeks, just keep fucking going and mind yourselves. I can't not end it with mind yourselves, but keep fucking going and mind yourselves.